I was born in Lincoln, Nebraska in the 70s. So, and I grew up in Nebraska pretty much all my life. I lost my mother at 4 to domestic violence. I ended up going to the foster system, and then my brother just below me went with me, Eddie. And we got separated pretty quickly into that system. Well, the whole time I was there, I had pretty good foster families. But this, I remember this was a single lady I had an older foster brother, and we all got along really good, but she met somebody and I got moved out that house because she was getting married. But I stayed in Plattsmouth, and I went to another foster family, and then the third foster family in that town was, I can't remember what exactly happened with them, but it was pretty much too late for me then because I was already knowing that I was gonna move, so I didn't really care about forming too deep attachments, and then I just had behavioral problems, I guess they would say. I was a teenager then, and in them teen years, I met, before I got to the Seward foster homes, I already met some older gang member and joined a gang and had that connection and had that desire to be a part of that. So attraction to gangs with that is you feel like you belong, and you feel like you're something, and you feel like you have a purpose, and so you put your loyalty into that, and it gets deeper and deeper because nobody really forms gangs per se for cookie drives and stuff. It's usually about selling drugs and everybody in the neighborhood trying to have a sense of being somebody. You know, you get a name, the worse you behave, often the bigger your reputation becomes. As I would learn, so Seward has a college, Concordia College, and they had a football team. And so I went to a college party of theirs, and I left, and the police came, they pulled up and then asked to talk to me. And then one of them asked me to get in the car, and when I said no, one of them across the car was leaning over already. And when I turned my head, he maced me, and then they jumped on me, and then that led me to going to Geneva, and then I went to Kearney. And that is how I got out of being a foster child. Is I turned 18 in Kearney, and when I came back, I went to Omaha to my grandmother's, and I already had them connections. However, connections meaning gangs. But then when I was 18, that was my introduction to selling crack cocaine, which I did well in, as horrible as that sounds, as horrible as that is. People often don't talk about it because it's a horrible thing that does horrible things to people, but as the young person selling crack, you become like, everybody's focused on you. People are like, people are addicted to crack, so they're really just basically, it's like you're the boss. You walk around like you're powerful and you feel like you're doing something big, and then you're making money as quick as however you know how to do it. And I was really good at that part, and I was really getting worse as being a gang member, because then I started carrying a gun, and then I started getting more involved in that part of it, and that led into an altercation in North Omaha with another gang member, and I shot him. So at the age of 19, I went to jail for shooting another individual. I didn't kill him, but I did shoot him. And I got 4 to 8 for that. 4 to 8 years for shooting him. And so when I went into the system, the criminal justice system, the prison system, I was about 19. And then I remember meeting a Mexican guy. I just remember him specifically because he was about the same age as me. It's kind of the same stage as me as I believed. But anyways, we was going to D&E, and at this time, we was leaving D&E and we was going to LCC, which is Lincoln Correctional Center. And at this point in time, this is in the late 90s, Lincoln, that was known as the Gladiator School, because that's where they sent most of the young gang members. And then I remember the guard in the hallway because he told me that I was going to be one of the, you're getting raped. Because I was like 140 pounds and then light skin. And then had longer braids and all that stuff. So, and that was a regular thing for guards then, is like they would provoke fights. Basically what happened is just shoulder check. I just went in on them. And that's just what I did every situation I had. I just went in on everybody, fighting everybody. And as terrible as that sounds, again, that worked for me. And Crips is a general term because there's several fractions which fight violently at times. But they was more than welcome to this little crazy dude, and they started calling me Little Crazy J. Yeah, and then I was in everybody's problems. So I went to Nebraska State Penitentiary, and on my way there, I came with this master plan that if I can avoid all the fights, I'm gonna go to all the classes and all the programs and get out. So I talked my way out of prison. Like I said, I was doing the classes and I was doing all the things. And when I went to see the parole board, they was like, we're gonna lay you down for a year, which means they're just gonna wait for a year to see you. So I got out. And I got called by one of my new homies within a month. And within 3 months, I had several bullets in me. And we did a home invasion and a shootout. So I didn't leave the life at all. Yeah, I went back. But I got 35 to 50 year sentence. And when I went into the thing, I was just walking in quiet, trying to fix my mind on what happened. And to me, I thought, okay, I got a life sentence. And the guard was talking bad. And so another one of my episodes, and I get now that they're more in my control than I think. But I really believe that once I go somewhere that's out of my control. What happened is Tecumseh got built. It was being built and it got opened about around 2001, but in 2002, the beginning, is when I was one of the ones put on the bus and got shipped to Tecumseh. And then it took a little while, and then I got out the hole in Tecumseh, and that was a whole new environment. And I didn't get better, not for a long time. But we gotta remember, it took years. But with that being said, to move forward and not just talk about one antic after another, and I had some pretty big ones, is them guys that would be talking to me. And I think what helped maybe is because I was always like, I would reading books, but I would read a ton of books and I'd be involved, and then I'd get interaction with these guys that weren't on nothing that none of us were on. However, they all seem to have stories that they was on stuff that we were on, but no bragging, no trying to make me, see them in a different light. It was just sharing where they've been at, where I'm at, and not pushing nothing. But so I read, and there's books upon books, but it's just the building of its maturity. So that's not a false thing, as maturity really affects your mind. And people often think 21 is maturity, which is nothing like when you're 25 up. And for me, it was more like when I was 30 and things were really starting to progress. But my late 20s is like where I started there, but way off track. Because even then, as I started building and I started going to these clubs and I started participating in things, the last major trouble I had was this guy kept starting stuff with me, and then he was saying stuff, and then he bumped me, and we both worked in the kitchen. And then I remember walking out like, oh, I'm gonna teach him a lesson. And then I still don't remember grabbing a drain grate, but I beat him up with a drain grate. And they put me in the hole for 2 years. But I remember going to the hole. I remember going to the hole and just thinking like, what is wrong with me? So I think that was like like a big moment in like just dismissing that like it is what it is or whatever, and in a moment of like trying to figure out why I keep digging these holes. So I spent 2 years in there, and I mean, I guess one of the good things is like that happened because it came with a lot of other stuff. Like the realization that like my mom's murder didn't just happen to me, because now I have a daughter, and so now I'm thinking of that's my grandma's, that's her little girl. And then all that goes with that, you know. So anyway, I do get out and I do get more actively involved. So I grew, and that took time, but I think I grew quicker out of the violence than just the thinking process and whatnot, because everything was solved by violence. Pretty much everything was solved by violence then. Like, violence is not the solution, but in prison, everything was solved by violence. By the time I got out in 2016, I was trying to be a part of, you know, giving back. Also establishing my life, of course, and figuring out how that works. And so getting out, I just decided, like, I'm just gonna volunteer for things. My purpose nowadays is to try to be involved in supporting or assisting others in doing, you know, whether it's doing something better with their life, or more often than not, it's simply like showing people like, hey, we don't even have to know each other, but I can support you on, you know, your journey to try to find, whether it's betterness in your life, some stability in your life, or just know that, like, at this moment, like, somebody else there's a community out there. Some of our most traumatic moments we often hold, and I do believe that's not good for us at all, because you're just holding all the burden yourself. And so finding a safe place, a safe person to talk to about it, I would encourage, because more often than not, it's somebody there to support you. So it's like carrying a huge burden, and somebody there might pick that up. They might not have lived that through that, but they are there with you. Even if it's a therapist or a friend or a peer that you just sort of have a good relationship with. And for myself, it does help. There's other struggles, because sometimes it just feels like you're doing it all again. But we're not, because we're living now, so that's where there's always hope, is we're living now, and sometimes it feels hard to get past now when you get back into your trauma. But that's where you remember, how many times have I had to push forward? And it's not always that easy, but how much would you lose out on if you didn't push forward? How many good memories would you lose if you didn't take the next step, get through the next day? And how much better will it be if somebody's there to share, even for a moment, that you can share this burden with, and not all just be on you. So there's always hope.